Thursday Night Football features an AFC East battle between the Bills and Dolphins, but Miami could be thin at running back. For the second straight day, both Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert were listed on the injury report as non-participants. Miami did not practice on Tuesday, so these are projected absences. Mostert is listed with a chest injury, and Achane, who was seen limping off the field late in Sunday's win over Jacksonville, was listed with an ankle injury. And we now welcome in CBS Sports NFL analyst Ryan Wilson. Now, Ryan, I'm going to tell you, if this was a normal game week, it would just be something of note, maybe to look into as the week progresses. But Dolphins Thursday Nighter is literally 2 days away, and it's also on a short week for Miami. Jeff Wilson Jr. and rookie fourth-round pick Jalen Wright are the only two other options on the active roster. We saw that the 49ers were able to see ample production from their backup, but can Miami find the similar success? What's your worry level here?
It's not that high. And you touched on Jalen Wright, the fourth-round pick, the rookie out of Tennessee, who is in a long line of burners that play on that offense for the Miami Dolphins. They also have Jeff Wilson, of course. We'll see what happens with Achane and his ankle and Mostert and his chest injury. But there are worse situations to be in. And having two burners that can replace the two burners that get most of the snaps is not an end-of-the-world situation for the Miami Dolphins. They still have Tua Tagovailoa. They still have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, of course. I think they'll be okay in that sense. They need to clean up some of the other mistakes they made in that Week 1 win. They had to come from behind to do it against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But again, it's Week 1, and you can look around the league and point to every team and say, we need to fix this and we need to clean up that. So, look, ideally everybody would be healthy, but to your point, this game is 48 hours away, and if you have to roll with Jalen Wright, who was a healthy scratch last week, that's fine. I think they'll be in great shape, and we know how explosive that offense can be once it gets going. Absolutely,
and Jeff Wilson Jr., someone that's been there for a couple of years, he actually finished out that game and actually led the team in rushing yards despite trailing for a good portion of that game. But Dolphins possibly looking to get even after losing the AFC East title to Buffalo, if you recall, back in Week 18 of last season. And speaking of getting even, well, we'll have to wait another time to catch the Russell Wilson revenge game. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin stated this offseason plan that it was to Wilson to start under center, but signs are pointing to Justin Fields getting the start in Denver on Sunday, while Russ continues to work his way back from a re-aggravated calf injury. Let's hear more from Tomlin on his quarterback conundrum.
We're preparing as if Justin is going to be our quarterback. I think that's the appropriate way to do it. Speculation is a waste of time. Russell's hurt. He's not available to us. And so, as you guys know, as a general practice, man, I focus my energy on those that are available and their readiness.
Speculation is a waste of time, Ryan. Now, even if Russ shows he's healthy this week or next week, I feel like you're the perfect person to ask for this. Should he be handed the job, or do you think they have a better chance to win with Fields at this point of where we are?
Kiana, I'm smirking a little bit because if we all lived our life like Mike Tomlin preaches, I think everything would be a lot easier. He has no time for silliness and nonsense, but we're going to indulge the silliness and nonsense because what else will we talk about? And Steelers fans have been pining for a few weeks going back to training camp. They like the idea of Justin Fields getting an opportunity to win the job. The calf injury came up last week for Russ. He didn't play when the team went to Atlanta, and Justin Fields did enough to help them get that win. It was all mostly the field goal kicker, Chris Boswell. But now we look ahead to Week 2, what you talked about as the revenge matchup for Russ Wilson. But I went and consulted Dr. Google here, Kiana, and I said, Dr. Google, tell me, how has Justin Fields fared against the Denver Broncos, excuse me? Passer rating of 132.7, 335 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and a lone interception. That was last October. That is the highest number of passing yards Justin Fields has ever had in any NFL game in his career by more than 40 yards. So maybe this is part Russ isn't ready. Maybe this is part, hey, Justin Fields played against a lot of these same guys less than a year ago, and he went off. So the idea of pushing the ball down the field is an intriguing one, given how little he threw down the field last week in Atlanta. But also lean on the run game. They're facing a rookie quarterback. Don't overcomplicate it. And perhaps most importantly, Kiana, Justin didn't turn the ball over last week. And you can win football games, and you can win ugly football games if you don't turn the ball over and you let T.J. Watt cook instead of Russ. And I think T.J. Watt's going to have an opportunity to cook once again against the rookie Bo Nix.
Dr. Google, always getting the job done, but also an opportunity like you
Undefeated.
mentioned. It is 100% undefeated. Believe everything that you find on Dr. Google. But it's a good spot, like you mentioned, for Fields to refine his success after maybe not the strongest performance in week 1. But after delivering on a big win on the road Sunday, hey, how about the Vikings? They delivered a nice payday for their defensive tackle. On Tuesday, the team announced they agreed to a 2-year contract extension for 7-year NFL vet Harrison Phillips, keeping a key piece of the middle of the trenches intact through the 2026 season. Now, the deal is reportedly worth up to $19 million with over $13 million in guaranteed money. The Vikings defense had their way against the Giants Sunday night, holding Daniel Jones and co to just 3.5 yards per play, keeping them out of the end zone on all 3 of their red zone trips and 2 takeaways. And that pass rush generated 5 sacks, with Phillips accounting for 1 of them on the night. So, Ryan, I gotta ask you, we know that this defense is now ran. It's the new look defense that's going on for the Vikings. The new look Brian Flores-led Vikings defense. Do you think that this game was more so what this defense provided under its new guidance, or was this a little bit more of, let's say, the Giants falling flat?
Yeah, if you talk to Giants fans, and you can walk down the hall and talk to Scott Riley about that, it's all about the Giants falling flat. Because, man, oh, man, that team is hard to watch. I do want to give credit, and you talk about Brian Flores, defensive coordinator in year 2 there in Minnesota, and how he gets those guys playing like their hair's on fire. And Harrison Phillips is a big part of that in the middle of that defense. Not a lot of depth along the defensive line, so he's doing his part along with Jerry Tillery, and that was fun to watch. But I think if we focus our energies on what the New York Giants are up to, here I like to say this is where Daniel Jones got Van Ginkel, Andrew Van Ginkel with the pick 6 and just walked into the end zone. He's been a big acquisition as well, and he's been an underrated player previously for the Dolphins. But in terms of the Giants, it is hard to find positives when your quarterback is the ire of everyone's attention if you're a Giants fan. And look, Kiana, let's be real. They set this young man up to fail because going back to the offseason and watching Hard Knocks, Joe Shane, the general manager, made it clear in no uncertain terms they wanted to go get Jaden Daniels. And I'm sure Daniel Jones has a television like the rest of us. He heard it. He heard it during training camp with the questions. And then he comes out and plays like that. The pressure's on him, no doubt about it. I'm excited for what the Vikings are doing and seeing Sam Darnold play well. But I feel like if the Giants lose this game this week in Washington to rookie Jaden Daniels, there are going to be some tough conversations to be had, and they're going to involve Daniel Jones.
Yeah, definitely pressure on everything I feel like that's going on out in the Meadowlands. I'm looking at Daniel Jones. I've been a little higher than that, looking at their coach. But also, I thank you for answering that question that way, because it being more so on the Giants offense and not the Vikings D. Because, Ryan, you know who the Vikings have in week 2, right? The Niners.
Yeah, San Francisco, baby.
There we go. So I appreciate that insight. Makes me feel a little better heading into week 2. Ryan Wilson, as always, it's a pleasure. And speaking of that matchup, hey, we got some big-time matchups Sunday over on CBS. That Vikings defense we were just talking about, well, can they withstand the visiting Brock Purdy and the NFC champs? Aaron Rodgers looking to bounce back following Monday night's shortcomings, taking on the Titans on the road. Bo Nix making his home debut and looking for his first win hosting the Steelers. And Joe Burrow looking to rebound with a marquee AFC showdown, taking on the Chiefs at Arrowhead. You can catch your local game over on CBS or stream it on Paramount+.